Today is 9th of April and now it's 8:56 p.m. during the COVID lockdown. God is a Finisher, part 2. I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 45. Then Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence." So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance." Joseph was betrayed by his brothers when he was younger. He was then sold to Egypt, and in Egypt he was then wrongly accused again, and he was put in prison. And he has always been a righteous person, but Joseph in prison has suffered a lot. He might have been beaten in prison, and you know how horrible prison conditions are even today. How much horrible prison conditions are many years ago. However, in these dark times that Joseph is facing, you might be facing your dark times now during this COVID-19 period. You could be wrongly accused of something. You could be in jail, you could be in prison, you could be in all kinds of problems, without work, without food, without money. There's so much problems happening right now throughout the whole world. As of today, there's already about 1.5 million people who caught COVID-19. Imagine, or whatever situation you are maybe in right now, just remember that God is a finisher. Here, Joseph was sold for about 20 pieces of silver to become a slave in Egypt. Jesus was betrayed and sold for 30 pieces of silver. 30 pieces of silver is about the price of a slave. Maybe there's some slight inflation during the time of Joseph to Christ, so it's maybe 20 to 30 pieces of silver, but around that price is the price of a slave. However, when Joseph became ruler over all Egypt, just below Pharaoh, he could give 300 pieces of silver to his brother Benjamin, just like that. See, God changed and finishes Joseph's life in a glorious way as ruler of all Egypt, just below Pharaoh. Joseph even had the ring of Pharaoh to make decisions on his behalf. So God has a good plan in everyone's life. You might be wondering, well, how come there are people who do not end well? In fact, if we go to the New Testament, most of Jesus' disciples did not end well in life. They were persecuted, they were killed Most of his disciples were killed. However, when John got the vision, and this is what John wrote in Revelations chapter 21 verse 4. So imagine, or even if you do not do well in life, you're at the darkest moments of your life, and even if you're in your deathbed or going to die and your life is not ending well, just like most of Jesus' disciples' life did not end well, but God is still the author and the finisher of our faith. In what it says in Hebrews 12 verse 2, Jesus Christ is the author and the finisher of our faith. At the end, when we enter into this glorious heaven, those who have Jesus in their hearts, who enter into this glorious heaven, will not face eternal death but have eternal life. They'll have this one last cry in heaven when they enter into heaven, this cry of joy, of victory. And when they see heaven, they will notice that whatever past in the past on earth is really nothing. Whatever sadness they have went through in the earth is really nothing compared to eternity. For in Revelations chapter 21 verse 4, this is what has been revealed to John, and this is what we will face in heaven. He, Jesus, will wipe every tear from our eyes. Probably this is our last cry of joy when we enter heaven. Not a cry of tears, our last cry. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. So whatever pain you may be going through right now, remember, God is a finisher, the author and the finisher of our faith. Life will end well, even if it doesn't end well, because all glory and all riches in heaven is waiting for us there. Thank you.